Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Just getting word in that the Oakland County prosecutor is expected to charge the parents of the 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley after he allegedly shot and killed 4 teenagers at Oxford High School this week. Sources confirmed to Fox 2 Detroit earlier today that James and Jennifer Crumbley, as you see here, will face charges following the mass shooting. Details are expected to be announced live during a press conference today around noon, and you can bet that we will bring you all this live update right here on Live Now from Fox, raw and unfiltered. In the meantime, let's go ahead and check in with Andrew Kraft. He's bringing us the latest on the charges that the actual suspect will face.
David Katz to discuss this further. We spoke, David, the day of the shooting, and you offered really great insight. Let's move that conversation forward now, since we know a little bit more. I want to talk, though, just about that press conference we were just showing you. So many copycat threats being called in to high schools around Oakland County that a majority of them today had to be closed.
Yeah, no, it happens every single time there's an issue or a critical incident. I'm hearing some feedback here, but there's a tragic incident. There's copycats. It happens every single time we see these things. And it's unfortunate because it ties up law enforcement resources that could better be utilized to investigating true threats.
Yeah, and of course, this is presenting a lot of challenges to the investigation itself into the shooting itself. Do law enforcement officials, do they get distracted by those, or do they have to kind of track down each and every one to make sure it's not credible?
Well, basically, the answer is yes. I mean, there's some that are not credible on their face, but they have to take at least some action to make sure that one of these copycats is not an actual incident, because we've seen one incident not only engender copycat calls and hoax calls, but also act as almost an impetus, a push to real other incidents, and they kind of group together. So they have to take all the due precautions to make sure those threats are not credible.
And David, one of the really striking parts of this whole story was that we learned in that press conference on Tuesday night was that the father of Ethan Crumbley bought the weapon that was used just 4 days prior. And now there's a lot of talk about potentially charging the Crumbley parents with possible charges related to this. What do you think those would be if that were the case? And talking about gun safety, how do you think Ethan Crumbley got his father's gun?
I don't know how the weapon was secured. That's the question. Mm-hmm. We saw this in the Sandy Hook tragedy, where Adam Lanza's mother inexplicably not only buys a rifle, but gives a child with clearly difficult, problematic emotional situation access to it. Here, I don't know whether the father purchased the firearm for what reason, but once you have a weapon in the home, and especially with children, you have the duty to secure that weapon just to make sure there's no accidental discharges. In this case, apparently, we're learning there were some very, very pervasive issues with respect to the child, and you can't tell me he doesn't have a safe or a gun lock or something to keep it out of the reach. I would definitely expect charges to follow because of just that negligence. And if I recall, California has some laws on the books saying that you have to store the weapon in a certain way to keep them out of the hands of potential children or individuals that shouldn't have access to them.
Yeah, and I was reading today that, if the parents are to be charged, this would be the first mass school shooting case in which the shooter's parents would face consequences. And that would be quite groundbreaking and significant, kind of opening up legal doors to something like that in the future, would it not?
I mean, in any of these cases, if someone is handling a weapon negligently and someone gets hold of the firearm, does something wrong with it, you are responsible. I'm quite sure that Adam Lanza's mother would have been charged if she had not been murdered before he perpetrated the attack at the school. So, I mean, I think I'm a very pro Second Amendment person, but with firearm ownership comes firearms responsibility.
You know, and David, I want to talk about warning signs. We learned that the day of the shooting, there was a meeting with school officials and the Crumbley parents and Ethan Crumbley about some type of disciplinary action. We don't really have the details in that. But until that one, that was the only known recorded one, at least the media has uncovered. And so we were listening to sheriff's deputies and officials in Oakland County say, you know, they didn't have any red flags, you know, on their radar as well. The school, as far as we know, didn't until that day either. You know, is that plausible in a situation like this? Wouldn't there be so many red flags?
It is not in any way, shape, or form plausible. The kid does not wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go and shoot up the school. There are always cues. And if you know, even in the report you guys did on the meeting apparently the parents had earlier with respect to their child in the school, they called the behavior, they were addressing concerning behaviors. Well, that's exactly the parlance that we use. We talk about doing assessments on possibly violent individuals. It's not necessarily always a posted thread on YouTube where someone says, I'm going to get a gun, I'm going to shoot at my school. It's interactions they're having with other individuals. It's the way they respond to certain events in school that are either disproportionately, they make them disproportionately angry, or they have outbursts. There are certain personality types that are associated with a predilection towards violence. We know all these things. In our practice, we do these assessments all the time. And I will guarantee you, there were more than just one. There were numerous ones that they just failed to pick up and act on.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking of in light of all this, especially just with kids at the school itself. You know, they would have known like his behavioral profile, you know, the classes he was in, his, personality with other students, with teachers. And so I feel like we need to learn a little bit more in that respect. And so that raises the question, you know, he's being charged as an adult. He's 15 years old. He got the weapon 4 days, his father rather, got the weapon 4 days before the shooting took place. The weapon was clearly very available for Ethan Crumbley to have obtained, and then he took it to school. And so going forward, what will you be kind of looking for as this case plays out?
Well, I mean, with respect to measures that schools could take in general, or in that particular school?
That particular school.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to reassess how they deal with individuals or students that they flag for potentially problematic behavior. There are some behaviors that are just simply, you know, someone is socially awkward, or they have some issues at home and they act out, not necessarily violently, but they show a certain level of belligerence. We're not talking about that. We're talking about behaviors that are so clearly unusual, unexpected, and inappropriate. That's what we're looking at. And once we find those, we have a whole assessment sheet we use and figure out, okay, it's not dispositive of the issue, but it's suggestive. This person requires a different level of intervention, up to and including removal from school, and of course law enforcement involvement when appropriate.
David, I'm playing the video that was on Snapchat from these students, and when we last spoke, we had presumed that those students thought that they were, you know, communicating with the shooter outside the door. We have come to learn since that indeed was a police officer. Obviously, the students did not know that at the time, so we just wanted to put that on the record. But I'm struck by the intuition these students displayed because the officer said at the end of his sentence, bro, in referring to, you know, whoever he was speaking with on the other side of the door. What did you make of that? That is what you have to ask for students in this situation, is it not?
Oh, whether the students were right or wrong with respect to the identity of the person outside, they acted quickly and decisively. And to the officer and in officers in general, stop saying bro. This is Officer Murphy, shield number 22367. I'm with, you know, the rapid response team, or I'm a detective, I'm a patrolman. Identify yourself appropriately as a person of authority. and then suggest you can call the station. The number is as follows. But those kids weren't sure, and you don't want to wait till you're beyond a reasonable doubt sure. If you think that you're in danger, that something is inappropriate, you act. And those kids in that classroom, I am incredibly impressed that even though it turned out it was a cop, they acted appropriately given the circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, it was truly incredible. And so we just wanted to make sure that we told the viewers that, I mean, presumably we had thought because they were so terrified that the shooter was on the other side of the door, that was indeed not the case. David Katz, we appreciate your time, and we will definitely be speaking with you again as we do learn more about the Oxford High School shooting there in Michigan. David, thanks so much.
Pleasure. Sure.
Some very good insight from law enforcement experts and our very own Andrew Kraft as we are learning more about 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley. He is the suspect who opened fire inside of Oxford High School on Tuesday, killing 4 of his classmates and injuring several others. We are continuing to bring you the latest developments on this situation on Live Now from Fox this morning. We do have a news alert to bring you as of the last hour. We are learning that sources through Fox 2 Detroit are confirming that a prosecutor in Oakland County is expected to charge the parents of the 15-year-old suspect after he allegedly shot and killed those 4 teenagers. Sources did confirm again with Fox 2 that James and Jennifer Crumbley will face charges following the mass shooting. Details are expected to be announced during a press conference held by the Oakland County prosecutor at noon Eastern time. We will be streaming it here on Live Now from Fox, so be sure to tune in later today. Prosecutor Karen McDonald had previously said that a decision would be made quickly regarding whether or not to arraign the parents on charges after their son allegedly got a hold of a handgun purchased 4 days before the mass shooting. There are also reports saying that that gun could have potentially been a Christmas present for the 15-year-old. So he allegedly used a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. Again, his dad had allegedly bought it on Black Friday. So be sure to stick with us here on Live Now from Fox. We will be streaming this press conference here at noon Eastern time as we continue to bring you each and every development on this situation.